Hey, what's up? It's me, your favorite shitty internet roommate. I remember being a little ass kid, you know, all my gaga goo goo shit. I was playing my Nintendo 64, the green transparent one. Yeah, your dream girl? I got her. We're in the tofu whip. I'm bumping Naruto opening 2. We're vibing. I was doing my thing, being the coolest ever type shit, and I was playing Mario 64. And at one point, I jumped through this stained glass window, and when I did this, I found a whole secret slide area. And do you know how magical that shit felt? It was like you uncovered this big secret that the game designers didn't want you to know about. Nay, they didn't even know about that shit. It was like you ended up in the back rooms of whatever game you happen to be playing. That shit made me feel like an ancient explorer, and a bit of a genius, if you will. Like I encrypted the mainframe like a 90s movie hacker. I discovered the government's deepest, darkest secrets. I witnessed the universe's divine knowledge.
Yeah, Harvard? Yeah, I just found a secret slide.
I didn't get into Harvard. Apparently anti-intellectualism was on the rise or something. But the reason that finding that slide felt so special was because it felt like I was doing something that wasn't exactly intended. Like I wasn't just playing a game, I was discovering a hidden part of this castle, this world. Like all those times that you heard about Muse behind trucks or the Rat Man in GTA 4. But this time, it was real. You weren't being lied to by Kevin, whose third cousin's neighbor's dog's uncle twice removed works at Nintendo, apparently. Can I get a fuck Kevin in the comments? And I just think that doing this is such a powerful thing that games can do. I really need you to hear me out on this, roomie. Ooh, that's really farming that parasocial. Fuck it. Pop a squat, roomie. I'm going on another passionate tirade. You need to listen to me on this. I mean, let's not forget, I do have your dream girls in a car vibing a Naruto opening 2. I'm up. I got all their nails done and I make sure they never get hungry. And that's possible thanks to HelloFresh. HelloFresh helps me get your dream girl breakfast. After all, it is the most important meal of the day, not just for me, but these lovely ladies too. And HelloFresh helps immensely with that. Because right now, using my link, with every HelloFresh delivery, you get a free breakfast item for life. Plus, it's a new year. We all got goals. Don't you want your dream girl vibing a Naruto opening 2 in the whip? Well, then it might help to stay healthy this year with HelloFresh's biggest menu ever. We're talking 50 plus dinner options that help maintain any healthy lifestyle. And summer's gonna be here in no time, and they're all telling me they gotta get right for hot girl summer, which HelloFresh also helps with, having 30 plus calorie smart and protein smart recipes. So let's get right this year and make sure our dream boos are never hungry. Just click the link in the description or use my code and get 10 free meals plus a free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while subscriptions are active. If you're in the US, outside the US, the local discount will apply. Thank you, HelloFresh, and back to the video. We jaded adults need that feeling of childhood discovery and wonder, that twinkle in our eye, that feeling that like maybe life is worth living. And that's what these types of discoveries do. They lift me up. Stumbling upon these secrets in a game, it gives me the same vibe of like that feeling of childhood wonder. You know when you're a kid and your parents take you out somewhere and then they just let you like run around and shit, or just being a kid in general and you don't know shit about the world and then you just go like run around and every corner of the world feels like you don't know what you're gonna find. It's like everywhere you go is an adventure. You're on your own, you explore, you stumble upon things, you find your parents have turned into pigs, you work at a bathhouse, then you meet some kid who's like a dragon or something. But when I'm playing a game and I see this is de-whimsifying. It de-incentivizes discovery. Suddenly I know in which direction all the secrets are, all the cool stuff are, or even the hidden areas. This makes me feel like a kid that has one of those parents that puts you on like a child leash. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Get that shit out of here. Let me discover. Let me stumble upon your cool content. I need a game to treat me like an absentee parent. I need you to care enough about me to put a roof over my head, but not care enough if I wander into the woods and get lost and find a skull kid and we get into some shenanigans. When I'm exploring a game world, it's not supposed to be a checklist. It's supposed to be an adventure. I grew up with very overprotective parents, which I think is a pretty good thing, but sometimes it can be a little smothering. And I totally get it. They're first generation immigrants. They came to America and they literally thought like crime and danger was in every corner. So at times I missed out on experiencing cool shit. In fact, I had to sneak out just to do some cool shit, just to have some motion. If I never did that, I never would have met that homeless man across the street in that alleyway who was showing me his abilities and the secrets of the universe. And games have that ability to make us feel that childlike wonder and sense of discovery again. I mean, you know what they say, born too late to explore Earth, born too early to explore space, and low-key no thanks, but born just in time to explore the lands of Hyrule, baby. I'm ignoring my duties and responsibilities to Zelda, and I'm finding yet another Korok seed. My bad, queen. And what I'm talking about isn't just like a secret room or a little fourth wall break Easter egg or something like that. What I'm talking about are games that hide parts of their worlds and make you forget that you're even playing a game. To me, the best kind of reward a game can give you for exploration is more cool shit to explore. Rewarding a gamer with more game. Like, y'all wouldn't believe the way I be getting geeked when I see a waterfall in a game. Like, ooh, I know there's a little cave behind that waterfall. Like, imagine you're a kid and you're playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night because you have goated taste. And after you beat what you think is the end of the game, you find out about that secret way to unlock the inverted castle, which basically gave you an entire second half of the game with a completely upside down castle of the main castle you've been running through. Imagine how awesome and exhilarating that must feel. I say imagine because I never found out that you could do that. I didn't go to Harvard, you know? I just love a game that lets me get lost, lets me stumble upon its discoveries, and even hides things from me that might be really cool and lets me try to find them. I think it's especially refreshing if you did grow up in a time when games were very hand-holdy. I mean, to go back to the Zelda example, that to me was one of the biggest strengths of Breath of the Wild in comparison to the prior Zelda games. While it might not be my favorite Zelda game, it does contain what is probably some of the best, if not the best, moments of discovery in the entire series. No moment of exploration in the Zelda game has ever floored me as much than just seeing this blue light super far in the distance. I don't need to follow it. It was just glowing. I didn't need to, I wasn't forced to go there or anything, but it piqued my interest and I decided to go towards it. And of course, my gaming OCD got the best of me and I started doing a bunch of side things that popped up, and before I knew it, it was gone. Then later on, of course, I would see it again and actually went to it, and I was met with this. Everything about this felt organic and part of the world. Like it would be happening whether I was here to see it or not. I wasn't playing a game that was screaming at me to go here. I didn't need to go here. Instead, I was just stumbling upon a part of this world, which took this scene, which is already just dripping with atmosphere. It's mystical here. It's ethereal here. Beautiful moment of nature, tucked away in this small little part of the world. As dorky as it is, it's stuff like this that makes me appreciate games and the worlds they can craft. And Breath of the Wild has quite a few moments just like this. I remember after hundreds of hours of exploring this world, I finally decided I should probably go help the princess or something. And then I finally beat the game, and I thought I was done. I thought I explored every nook and cranny. Only for then my friend to tell me that there's a whole other village that I just never saw. And it's one of the most beautiful villages in the whole game, especially at nighttime with all the torches lit. And yeah, sure, it wasn't like a secret area. I didn't have to do anything to find it. But the fact that it just was, again, existing in this world and nobody was forcing me to go there to do a quest made it that much more special to just find it. Or in, I guess, this case, my friend to tell me about it. That takes me back to being a kid and talking to your friends about the game you're all playing and learning things about it through each other. It especially helps when these secret areas that are tucked away are some of the most beautiful locations in the game, like the Divine Sanctuary from Xenoblade. It doesn't really matter if there is anything to actually do here, because finding this secret area in all its mystifying beauty is all what it's for. Look at those waterfalls, look at the trees and vegetation, look at the skybox. It's the ultimate place to just sit and spark one up and think about life and shit. Not everything has to be made to be found. That's what makes it feel more real. Another beautiful example of this is the secret garden in Shadow of the Colossus. You see this tower pretty much through the entire game, and even in the cutscenes. So while it may not exactly be a secret that it exists, getting to the top is so difficult, and you need to do so much work and get so much stamina to even climb up there, that it builds you up to think that there is going to be something huge and important up there. But once you do get to the top and you explore it, it's just a garden. Nothing more, nothing less. When I did first get up here and discover that it was just a garden, it made me just kind of appreciate this plot of beauty. Probably one of the most beautiful parts of this whole game. I would just be appreciating the sound design and art direction, the flowers and overgrown grass and vegetation everywhere. Just this beautiful overgrown green garden. The peeking of sunlight through the structures and the sound of birds. Once again, you gotta spark one up here. And I think this moment is helped a lot by the fact that Shadow of the Colossus as a game itself is a very cryptic, quiet, and empty game. This whole game has this very mysterious atmosphere as it doesn't really tell you anything, which makes you feel like there's a great discovery in every corner of the world, which is probably why me and so many other players felt so necessary to actually try to climb this, because who knows what could be up there. And I'm glad I did, and I was able to just breathe this environment in. But while it's cool to find these beautiful hidden safe havens, I think what interests me even more is when a game hides a part of its world that is extremely important. I was told pretty recently that the Ratman dens in Portal aren't just secret, they're completely optional. You don't need to find them at all, which is cool in general because it just means more cool secrets to find and thus upping your feeling of discovery, especially because these Ratman dens are some of the most interesting parts of the whole game that add so much to the lore of the game. Seeing the scribbles on the walls get more and more demented as you notice that the doctor is clearly losing his sanity throughout your journey. But the thing that makes them really cool is one of my favorite things probably ever, and that is ludonarrative harmony, baby. Basically, when the gameplay matches the story, and these Ratman dens being hidden is exactly that. Of course they're gonna be hidden. They don't want you to find these. So of course you could finish the game without finding them. Of course they're gonna be walled off and secret. Another game that does this so monumentally well is the masterpiece that is Hollow Knight, as this game hides what is probably the most important area in the entire game from you. That is not only important for the game's lore, but also gives you the true ending of the game. I'm talking about the White Palace. And even the lead up and how you find out about this whole thing makes the discovery of it later that much more impactful. You hear stories about the once great Pale King as you explore Hollow Nest. You find corpses begging for him to return. But as far as we know, he left and has been hiding. And again, going back to ludonarrative, because the Pale King wanted to hide, he didn't want to be found, it wouldn't make sense if the game made it easy for you to find him. The gameplay and story wouldn't match, you wouldn't have harmony, and thus he is not only optional, but completely secret. You have to do a whole bunch of stuff and basically go into a dude's dream to get there. And when you do get to the White Palace, it is majestic as fuck out here, and it's as dreamlike as it should be. Seeing the other bugs bow to you, listening to that serene and calm, listen when you're not dying constantly and being bombarded by the sounds of saws, that is. The music is so serene and calm, but it also has this great tragic somberness to it, which, if you understand the lore of the Pale King in this place, that description of the music perfectly encapsulates it. And then for all this secrecy to be building you up to think that once you find the Pale King, it's gonna be like this huge moment, only to then to find the guy and he's a completely decrepit corpse. Just the deep tragedy of that is unreal. All right, big dog, you did a great job, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and take my spot right there. A big part of why I play video games is immersion. And I think games, because they're this interactive medium, have this ability to immerse us to such a deeper level than I think any other form of art. It's why I love things like ludonarrative harmony and having these areas that are kind of tucked away for you to find. Because then it doesn't feel like these worlds are governed by codes. They just feel like worlds. Doing these things almost closes a loop artistically in my brain. And look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I legit really only wanted to talk about one specific game studio when it came to doing this kind of thing. In fact, they don't just do this thing, they are the motherfucking standard. Yes, this whole video has just been me trying really hard to not only talk about From Software. I'm sorry, okay? Like, no one does it better. I'm sorry. Call me whatever you want. Tell me to wipe my mouth when I'm done. Tell me I need to stop doing tricks on it. It's crazy to me how many games we have had over the years that have been shipped out completely unfinished, missing so much content, giving you day one DLCs. And here's FromSoft with hundreds of hours of content in their game, hiding more content. Some things are just worth the glaze. LeBron, My Sunshine, Georgia Smith, 06 to 11 Wayne, and FromSoft. In that order. Everything I've talked about today is done with every From Software game times 10. I don't think there's a single game studio or game that matches up to them in terms of having these secret areas and hiding their world. I don't even know which one to talk about. In Dark Souls 1, you have the Painted World, which to even get to that secret area, you have to get to another secret area first, which you can only get to by like getting off an elevator and then doing some crazy parkour shit to get on top of this platform, which like, why would you think you'd have to do that, you know? Then you have to sit and pretend to be one of this bird's eggs until it takes you away and drops you back off at the beginning of the game, where you have to get this item here, this random peculiar doll item, and the only way you know it's connected to the painting is if you read the description. And then you can go up to the painting, you'll get sucked inside of it, which will finally lead you here to the Painted World. And again, Ludo narrative, of course, getting here would be difficult. This is where the gods basically put all the things that scared them away. So of course they wouldn't want it to be easy to access. And in my opinion, it's one of the best level designed areas in the whole game, and just an incredible atmosphere. Just this cold, dead, forgotten place. Death and crows surround you everywhere. And while it is an obviously hostile area, there's still this feeling of deep sadness all across it. You got Dark Souls 3 with Archdragon Peak, which, again, to get to, first you have to find another secret area behind a wall where you get a random emote called Path of the Dragon, and then in the most random, like, midsection of another area, you have to notice this dragon that's like doing the dragon pose and just so happen to know to do that emote right next to it. And then you can access Archdragon Peak, one of the coolest areas in the game with one of the best bosses in the game. Like 80% of Elden Ring is this. It is crazy just how much of this game's world is optional and hidden. There's little secret areas to find all across this world. And I genuinely think that that was the most exhilarating part about playing Elden Ring. Once again, bringing back that feeling of childlike wonder, that feeling of anticipation that like, anything could be around a corner. You could find the coolest shit ever, and a lot of times you will. I think that's why so many people latched on to the experience of this game. Its sense of discovery, in my opinion, is unmatched. There's so many cool secrets and hidden areas. I mean, we could talk about the sewer levels, where first you have to explore this like dark, dank, very confusing sewer. Then you find a boss, you beat that boss, then behind a door behind that boss is this whole other secret area with just piles upon piles of these dead merchants, and a few of them just playing this tragic music. The atmosphere of this location is crazy, but again, FromSoft delivers because you can go even deeper. And on top of finding a whole other ending to the game, there's another invisible wall with a chest, and then of course, there's another hidden wall beyond that with yet again a whole other area. Are you seeing this? Please, what other gucking game studio? What other? But to me, the one that I think sticks in my mind, and I would say probably sticks in most gamers' mind when it comes to Elden Ring, is Siofra River. While not as particularly hidden as these other ones I've talked about, it is again off the beaten path, and once again, nothing is guiding you to it. It's just there for you to stumble upon. I think that's why it was one of the more really popular clips that was floating around, was everyone stumbling upon this area, taking that elevator down, and just getting the glimpse as you're taking this huge long elevator of Siofra and this huge underground city. Again, it's that sense of discovery that makes Elden Ring so special. When you start the game and you see your map and it's just this little tiny thing, and then maybe you start traveling more and it gets bigger and you think, okay, that's definitely it. And then it gets bigger and then you're like, okay, that is for sure it. Only for you to then find Siofra River and notice that there is entire underground part of the map. That is, no game in such a long time has made me feel like I'm discovering a world like this. But while all these areas are amazing, I think I want to end the video in the place that I started it in, which of course is Ash Lake. This area holds such a special place in my heart. Dark Souls Remastered was the game I started my Souls journey on, and this was the first time I had ever witnessed the ability of From Software to hide some of the coolest shit ever in their games. I was absolutely cooked when I got here. Blighttown had double-fisted me beyond repair. My weapon was broken, I was cursed, constantly poisoned, but for some reason, I just kept deciding to move forward and not turn back. When I first passed the two walls behind the tree and I saw that whole area going down with all those tree branches and fucking basilisks, I think any sane person would have turned back. But I decided to keep going, and I went lower and lower, and totally not getting little broed by those giant mushroom dudes, that's for sure. Absolutely nothing could have prepared me for Ash Lake, helped beautifully by this grand, like, godly music. It's meditative, it's ethereal, the size and scale of everything is awe-inspiring, as it is this area that feels like the underneath of the entire world. It feels like an area that I, as a regular, like, human or whatever I am, an undead, shouldn't be able to witness or find. Like I feel like I don't belong here. It feels like I stumbled across a secret of the universe that I shouldn't know about, that only those celestial beings are allowed to know about, but yet I'm here. And that's what the music conveys. That's what the scale conveys. It being so big and making you feel so small makes perfect sense in the context of who your character is in comparison to the world. The ash beach, the water in the distance, and of course, the giant fucking eternal trees, which is probably the most evocative part of this whole place. Because I remember when I first got here, my mind was going like a million miles a minute, just speculating on the purpose of these trees. I wondered if maybe each tree might have held a different world or universe. I'm pretty sure that is a theory too. Or just different timelines, or who knows, maybe one of them is Dark Souls 3, maybe another is Sekiro, maybe, you know what I mean? And again, this is an area that is completely optional. I don't need to go here. It's purposeless to the gameplay itself. But yet, as I sit here, I find myself thinking nothing else except for what its purpose is. There's a lot of games out there, open world or not, that are probably in scale a lot bigger than Dark Souls 1. But none of them have ever made me feel so small in the way Ash Lake did. This is the type of stuff that immerses me when a game hides its world from you. There's this quote that Miyazaki gave a long time ago, I think around the time Dark Souls 1 was made. He was asked how he felt being compared to the Zelda series. He didn't really accept that, as he felt he wasn't really esteemed or honored enough to match up to that. But yet he also said that he feels that Zelda games and Souls games go for two very different experiences, at least at this time. He said that Zelda games are really great at guiding you and giving you a very great cinematic guided adventure. But Miyazaki, in his games, in Souls games, he wants his players to get lost. He doesn't want them to know where they're going. He wants them to ask, where am I? It makes me feel like when I boot up whatever I'm playing these games on, that I'm not just playing a game that has these sets of rules because it was designed and the little beep boops make it that way. Instead, because this world feels so real, because it's not telling me to go this place, I can just find it. So instead, when booting it up, it feels like I've actually just gained access to this little pocket dimension that with its own rules and its own history and its own world that I get to explore and get lost in. Thank you so much for deciding to light your bonfire here on this little corner of the internet. If you like what you saw today, you can support the channel by giving me a like and a subscribe. I'll always appreciate that. I'm working on a goal of trying to get 500,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so it would greatly be beneficial if you could help me get that. And look, I obviously can't talk about every hidden secret area in a game, so please, please, please use this comment section to just gush about your favorite hidden or secret areas in the games you love. And if you really want to support me to get more cool videos like this, you can do that as little as 3 beans here on my Patreon, which you can get at the link above. It might pop up right here. If it doesn't, check the description. I have my Patreon down there too. And look, if you're feeling very generous and you're an absolute crazy person like all these pixel art people you see here, you can join my highest tier on Patreon, which gives you a whole bunch of benefits, extra videos, a private study stream every week where you can watch me do behind the scenes stuff like live, but also you get one of these pixel art characters designed just for you. And before I go, I have quite a few new people to introduce, so let's just do that real quick. First up, we got my guy Ben Cortez right here, who probably now has the most unique pixel art character in our little group, as he based his off Impact from the Goemon series. Love how it came out, super cool, really happy to have it here. Next, we got Killer here, who just sent in his OC and asked him to give him a cool little pose. I think he came out really cool. I really appreciate the pose, and he really reminds me of like a cool Air Gear character. I wonder if that was any inspiration to him. Then we got Rye Likes Potatoes, who pretty much just said, give me Bandit Keith, and he is just like sloshed, just drunk out of his fucking mind, doing a whole animation. And I love it. I love having him here. It fits perfectly in this little bar section. Shout out to him. Then we got Kef Marie, who basically envisioned Kirby, but they swallowed the Pokemon Smoliv. And I really like how it came out, and it's a really cool idea of fusing Pokemon and Kirby. Then we got Ted Flounder, who didn't really have any idea to what to do, so he just did some random shit, as he said, and fused Johnny Silverhand with Ned Flander. I low-key fuck with it. He's kind of cool. Then we got our boy Chicken here, who asked to get Joel from The Last of Us, but as a raccoon. And check this cool little guy out. He looks like he'd be chilling by the bar too, so he's gonna be right there. Love him. And finally, we got Sunbot. And he used this picture of a kind of 2030s bartender mixed with like a robot from a cyberpunk alien setting, which on top of just being absolutely fucking cool, but also has now become our official new bartender. Thank you so much, Sunbot. Unfortunately, our old bartender, Richard Kickham, isn't part of the Patreon anymore, so we lost our bartender, but now we got a robot doing it, and that's fucking cool. So shout out to that guy. Once again, if you want a bunch of benefits, including having pixel art characters at the end and sometimes throughout the video, that can be done at the highest tier on my Patreon. I wish you all a great 2025. I think we can do this. I really feel good, and I feel like we could achieve anything if we just put our minds to it, man. But with all that being said, thank you so much for coming to this little pit stop on the corner of the internet. Peace.